Okay, great, thank you. Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Planning Development Advisory Committee meeting for June the 8th, 2021. We'll start with the roll call. First of all, members signify your presence. Paul Sedra,
I'm present.
Dan Kennedy,
Present.
Dennis O'Connor,
Present.
Deep Bassi,
Present.
and I, John Sapus, am present as well. For today, we have two meetings tonight, one being in the committee adjustment and the second one being the advisory committee. There'll be 4 minor variances for consideration by the committee of adjustment, and there'll be 4 severances for the advisory committee to provide comments on. So there's 2 meetings in effect. So once we finish the Planning and Development Advisory Committee, we'll adjourn and then we'll move into the next meeting. Please note that the meeting is video and audio recorded, and all electronic meetings are uploaded to the municipality's YouTube page. By registering to participate in the meeting by electronic means, you are consenting to have the likeness and comments recorded and posted on YouTube. Okay, so Lynn, do we have any disclosures of pecuniary interest?
No, Mr. Chair, we do not.
Great, thank you. Approval of minutes, have a mover and a second to approve the minutes of May the 11th, 2021.
I'll move.
Mover, Dennis, second, Deep. All in favor, Paul Sedra,
Approve.
Dan Kennedy,
Approve.
Dennis O'Connor,
Approve.
Deep Bassi,
Approved.
and I approve as well. Okay, so we're going to move into the minor variances, and the purpose of the hearing is to inform and provide the public with the opportunity to ask questions or express views with respect to a minor variance on the agenda before us today. The township requests that you please notify the secretary of the committee by email at lynbanks@puslinch.ca if you wish to be on record and would like to be notified of future hearings and decisions regarding a specific application. The format of each hearing for each minor variance will be as follows. Staff will present the information specifically outlining the purpose of the application, summarizing compliance with the township's notification submission requirements, and outlining staff comments, agency comments, and public comments of those who could not attend. The applicant or agent will then present the purpose and details of the application and any further relevant information. Further, the public can obtain clarification, ask questions, or express their views on the proposal. You'll have a maximum 10 minutes to speak. Follow this, members of the committee can obtain clarification, ask questions. The committee will deliberate the application and render a decision. The decision will be subject to a 20-day appeal period. So we'll start with application for minor variance for permission under Section 45 of the Planning Act to be heard by the committee. 6A, minor variance application D13 HUT James and Sharon Hutton, 6547 Wellington Road 34, rear part lots 2 and 3, concession 2, Township of Puslinch, requesting relief of zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended from Section 4.2B1 accessory apartments to permit accessory apartment to be located 74 meters from the single detached dwelling on a lot instead of a maximum 15 meters as required. So Lynn, I understand that you and the agent have reached an agreement to defer this.
That's right, Mr. Chair. Zachary Prince and myself had a conversation with the agent and the applicant, and we're requesting that it be deferred to allow staff more time to locate and review some old building permits and drawings relating to the accessory structure, and as well as for the applicant to discuss any concerns with the GRCA mapping in the natural environment area. We're all in agreement, so if the committee agrees, then we would request that it be deferred.
Okay, so we'll read the actual item and then we'll take a vote. In a matter of Section 45 of the Planning Act as amended, a new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended, and an application for minor variance. The purpose and effect of the application is to request relief for zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended to permit an accessory apartment to be located 74 meters from a single detached dwelling on the lot instead of maximum 15 meters as required. So we have three options: approved, opposed, or deferred. So we'll start with Paul.
Deferred.
Okay, then we'll move on to Dan,
Deferred.
Dennis,
Defer.
Deep,
Deferred.
and I do defer as well. And Lynn, when will this come back to us?
We'll bring it back once we have looked at all of the drawings and building permits and had another discussion with the applicant and his agent regarding the mapping. So as soon as we do that, we'll bring it back. Hopefully it'll be in July.
Okay, thank you, Lynn.
You're welcome.
Okay, so let's move on to item 6B, minor variance application D13 JON, Andrew and Paul and Wendy Jones, 4553 Watson Road South, Part Lot 17, Concession 10, Township of Puslinch, requesting relief of zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended from section 4.16.2, general provisions of MDS2, new or expanding livestock facilities and manure storage facilities. The purpose and effect of the application is to provide relief from the minimum separation distance 2, also known as MDS2, setback requirement to permit a reduced minimum distance separation type 2 of approximately 65 meters instead of 93 meters, type A, a difference of 28 meters. Okay, so let's, Lynn, would you please summarize the application, notification, submission requirements, outlining staff, agency, and public comments of those that could not attend, and recommendations of any?
Notice of the application was given in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act. Notice requirements for the application had been met. There were no comments or concerns received from agencies. We do have several residents attending the meeting tonight who have indicated some concerns and objections to the application, and I believe they're willing to speak tonight to the committee.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's call the applicant or agent, and would Clerk Courtney Fox please have the owner or applicant join the panelists to present their application?
Certainly, I'll move Mr. Pierre Chauvin over and I'll display the application on the screen.
Thank you. Hello, Pierre? Can you hear us, Pierre?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, so would you please state your name and address and then undertake your presentation?
Right. Pierre Chauvin from Kitchen. We having
Yes, we are having trouble catching you, Pierre.
Okay, I will try to turn my video off. Does that help?
Yes, it seems to be clearer. Thank you.
Okay. So sorry about that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Pierre Chauvin. I'm with MHBC Planning. Just let me know if you just raise your hand. Let me know if you can't hear me at any point in time. The application is a proposal to reduce the MDS setback with respect to an existing, I will call in this particular location for a number of years. Our client tells us at least 30 plus years. It has housed livestock in the past, on and off over that period of time. It has been vacant more recently, but currently it has the housing and the livestock. It does generate a setback and the property line, or if it can't be accommodated to the property line and it is to the residences.
Could you repeat that last sentence again?
You know, these homes have, oh, sorry. This barn has been here for a number of years, as have the homes that have existed there for a number of years, and probably during the time that livestock had been occupied in that particular barn. And
We've lost you again.
we are here because of the recent.
We
I'll
lost you again.
try.
We've lost you again.
Cut to the chase and just say we are here in support of the application. Sorry.
Okay, I assume most of the attendees got the gist of it. Lynn, are there any registrants who requested to speak?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I believe there's several people in attendance that would like to address the committee.
Okay, Courtney, would you canvass the group and bring him up one at a time?
Certainly. If I could just ask the attendees to use the raise your hand function if you would like to make a comment. Mr. Chair, I have Daryl Boucad and first up that has raised his hand.
Great, thank you. Hi, Daryl, would you please state your name and address?
My name is Daryl Bucco. The address is 4559 Watson Road. Thank you for taking the time tonight to hear me out. My wife and I and young family just purchased this house a few months ago. This is supposed to be our dream house. We've poured all of our money into it. Prior to buying it, we did notice that there was a structure being built right behind our fence, like a stone's throw away. And our number one question was, what is that? How big is it going to be? And what is it being used for? Because we wouldn't want livestock or as would be allowed, a manure facility to be right behind there. We have young kids. This could leak into our well water. Who knows what could happen with our health with something being that close. We were told that there is a law in place preventing something from being built that close to our home. Because of that law, we moved forward with purchasing our home, and we felt comfortable now putting more money into the house to invest in it. To see something like this be presented, I hope that it would be denied for the simple fact that it's not only a health issue, but it's just frankly a law that should be upheld. It's a health issue, and it's also something that would lower our property value, because myself as an example, my family as an example, we would not have purchased the house with something being that close. And lastly, with such a large property that they have, I can't comprehend why they would need this variance, why it would need to be changed. They have so much land to work with. I can't understand why they couldn't just keep the distance or put it some other place on such a large property.
Okay, so Daryl, do you have any questions of the applicant or of the county planner?
I don't.
Okay, you do realize that we're not dealing with a new construction here. We are dealing with an existing barn.
Correct. But from my perspective, if anything, if this variance from my perspective, if anything, if this is from my perspective.
Pierre, could you please stop? Daryl, please go ahead.
Sorry about that. So if this is made or allowed to become closer to the house, what my fear is what could be done after the fact. So it's not just what is there now, but what could then be done after. Because if this is allowed to be brought closer, that doesn't, as far as I understand, that doesn't mean this is the only thing they can do. That would mean that they could do other things within a close distance.
Okay. Pierre, would you like to comment?
Yeah, I hope I've tried to move to another location in my house. Hopefully that is a better reception. In response, the structure that this person is probably observed to be built is a run-in shelter, and MDS does not apply to run-in shelters. This is a shelter where the horses can go and obviously seek shelter during inclement weather. The barn that we're seeking, so the measurement is always taken from the barn and or the manure pile, which is immediately behind the barn on the opposite side of where the residents are. The barn has been in existence, like I said, for a number of years, well before these residents, or as long as these residents have been here and have occupied livestock for a number of years. The fact of the matter is, the reality is, this property is zoned agricultural. This is a permitted use in an agriculture area. And livestock, the keeping of livestock is a permitted use. And it should be in accordance with the provincial policy, a use that's promoted and encouraged. There are, yes, guidelines with respect to minimum distance separation to livestock operations that we must adhere to. In this particular instance, because it's an existing barn that has occupied livestock on and off in the past, as far as I'm, to my knowledge, has not created any nuisance concerns in the past. Because there is a lag in period between the last time they've housed livestock and now, we have to comply with MDS. The same would apply if the barn were to be expanded to house more livestock, then we would be back before you or seeking other permissions from the committee or the council.
Daryl, do you have any more questions?
I would like to respond to that if it's okay.
What's before you is simple.
Daryl, I don't want to get into dialogue. If you have questions, it's up to the proponent to answer your questions.
Okay, well, I don't have a question. I just wanted to say that just because something's been done, there's a law in place. So that doesn't mean you can just ask forgiveness and it should be allowed.
Okay. All right. Is that it, Daryl?
That's it, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Courtney, would you please ask the next resident to come forward?
Yes, Mr. Bobby Hayes. I'm just going to allow him to talk now.
Okay. I see you're here, Bobby, but you're muted. Bobby, you are muted. Your microphone is off. We can't hear you. Bobby? Bobby, if you're on Zoom, go to the bottom left-hand corner. There's a microphone there, icon, press that. I'm sorry, can't hear Bobby. I don't know if he's having difficulty with the application or whatever. Courtney, would it be appropriate to go to the next individual? We'll bring Bobby back.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. We have 2 phone-in listeners, so they can't use the raise their hand feature. So if you're all right, I'll just ask each one of them if they have any questions or comments.
Absolutely.
So the first call in, I'm going to unmute. Phone number ends in 3990. If you just want to let us know if you have any comments or if you don't.
Okay, you're muted. 151-980-33990 is muted. I can't hear you.
Mr. Chair, I can ask the next caller if you'd like while we wait.
Sure, absolutely.
The next phone number I'm just going to ask and unmute if you have any questions or comments is the number ending in 59999.
Hello, 5999.
I have no comments at this time.
Okay, thank you. Five nine 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 has no comments.
I'm prompting Mr. Bobby Hayes a few times here just to ask him to unmute, so I'm not sure if perhaps he's unavailable.
Okay, this is Rick Berthume and Bobby Hayes. So I'm wondering if you can hear us now.
Yes, I can, Bobby. Thank you very much. Would you please state your name and address? We'll give you 10 minutes to speak. As each question or clarification you are asking, I'll ask the applicant to respond. If it's a planning matter, I'll ask the county planner, Zach Prince, to reply. So go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we live directly across the road at 4552 Watson Road. Our driveways are across the road from each other. So we do know that they have livestock there now. There are 2 horses that are on the property now, and I must say that they're lovely horses. We were not aware and couldn't hear from Pierre what exactly it was that they were trying to do in the application, and it wasn't clear in the application that came to us in the mail exactly what was happening. I do have a better understanding now of what it is they're doing in terms of utilizing an existing building that's on site. The concern that we have is 2 things. Number one, right now, as I indicated, they only have 2 horses. Since this is going to be available for livestock, how do we know, or how do we prevent additional livestock from being added to that as we move forward? We do have a concern, obviously, with regards to manure. And I did hear that the manure storage was going to be at the rear of the existing building. And again, I come back to, we weren't clear as to whether this was an existing building or a new build. And we were under the impression that this was likely going to be a new build. And I do think that there's been a little bit of clarity in that regards. But we do have concerns with the amount of livestock that would possibly be on this property. And a question that we do have is with regards to water runoff or manure runoff, with regards to contaminating the water that's in the area. The aquifer that we draw from obviously comes across through there. So we are concerned about that as well.
Okay, Zach, I was wondering if you can answer the question with respect to additional livestock being brought in.
So through the chair, I believe Pierre maybe has mentioned it as well too. If there were additional livestock or an addition to the barn, that would also require relief, whether it's through a committee of adjustment application or through zoning bylaw amendment that would go before council.
Okay. And Pierre, question with respect to your manure management.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. It's a very small, if any of you are familiar with livestock, the quantity of livestock that we're talking about here is it's a very small number. It's hobby farm level. And the amount of manure that's generated is probably equivalent to, a few, I would say, 5 or 6 wheelbarrow fulls in about a month or so. It's not a lot, and it could be something that's applied, very.
We lost you, Pierre. Yeah.
To the surrounding pastures. Yes, sir.
Okay, Bobby, any more questions or comments?
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Courtney, are there any other residents who'd like to speak?
I'll just ask any other attendees looking to make a comment to just use the raise your hand feature. Mr. Chair, I don't see any hands being raised.
Okay, thank you very much. Now it's a committee's opportunity, so we'll go around the table and start off with you, Paul. Paul, do you have any questions of any of the applicant or any of the residents or the planning staff?
Sure, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just actually, just to expand on that question about the barn and the livestock for Zach. Zach, you answered the question about it being expanded to handle additional livestock. I guess I'm just wondering what the existing barn can handle from livestock. So from what I've got so far, there's possibly 2 horses. Like what's the maximum capacity of the existing barn in with respect to livestock?
Yeah, so through the chair, the applicant indicated there's 2 horses and 100 laying hens. And they also provided the approximate square footage of the barn too. So when we ran the MDS calcs, we would consider that the maximum amount that could fit in there. That does correlate with the size of the barn in the MDS calculation software.
Sorry, was that 100 hens?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So 100 hens and 2 horses. Okay. Okay, that's all I had for now. Thank you.
Okay, Dan?
But the one question just tagging on to Paul's comment is, what if he wanted to change the combination? Is he allowed to do that? Like say 3 horses and 75 hens, or is it fixed in stone with the 2 horses and the 100 hens?
Through the chair,
sure answers that.
I may be able to answer that through the chair.
Thank you.
The MDS is based on nutrient units, so it can be there's a number of different combinations that could reach 5 nutrient units. Roughly, that would be about 5 horses, and then depending on the size and the amount of manure produced by each animal, it changes the kind of factors that are applied. So there really are a number of different combinations that could go in there, but the key is that it is 5 nutrient units.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Dennis.
Yeah, sure. A couple questions. One, Zach, is it not right that this gets up pretty high because it is poultry, the 100 poultry? We're dealing with poultry manure, is that correct?
Through the chair, yes. Chickens do have a higher number as well too. It also depends on the manure storage too. So everything's stored outside.
So the manure will be in indoor storage.
I believe it's currently outdoor, and they're proposing to continue to have it outdoor.
So we could put a requirement to this amendment to require indoor storage.
Through the chair, I think that's maybe something we could ask the applicant as well too. That would potentially change the MDS calcs. However, the MDS does have a minimum threshold as well too. So,
well, the reason I'm asking Zachary is, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but poultry manure, when you add water, becomes ammonia. And that's why we have probably the number of 93. If it is in a covered storage, that reduces the volatility and the ammonia, free ammonia that will be rolling around. You cannot apply this manure in the wintertime. So you really only have, probably 6 months where you can actually apply the manure. So you got to have at least 6 to 8 months storage. If it's out of water, namely rain or whatever, you will reduce any volatility. So that would alleviate, if it was all full of poultry and it was manure was going into covered storage, eliminates groundwater problems, eliminates air problems, and would significantly reduce any complaints by neighbors, I would assume. So I guess my question would be then, can we legitimately put that rider on this?
Okay. Perhaps I'd like to ask Pierre to answer the question with respect to the viability of indoor storage of the poultry manure.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Typically, obviously, storage, indoor, enclosed storage, covered manure storage would be very costly. Given the scale of this particular operation and the amount of manure to be created, I'm sure we could probably have like a roll top container, like a metal container with some type of cover over top that would satisfy that requirement. So it can be done, but I would say, given the amount, I think the member's comment is true with respect to the ammonia that's generated, and that's what you smell. The amount of chickens that we're talking about here is very small. This is, again, hobby level. But if that's the desire of the committee, I'm sure we can look into somehow just a simple container of some sort, rather than getting into a very complicated, as you may know, there's probably, you get into membranes and like that for storage, it gets pretty expensive. But if it's a low cost type of solution, then I'm sure we can accommodate something like that.
Yeah, that would be my suggestion, is make sure that we have covered storage so that water does not get to the manure to create the ammonia. If that's done, that will alleviate my concern.
Dennis, that's strictly with the poultry, not the horse manure.
The poultry is the biggest offender, so let's deal with it. And if it was all horses in there, there's no problem. But yes, poultry we definitely, because that's one that goes to ammonia.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, move on to Deep.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of questions for Pierre. Are there any future plans to expand the barn? And second question would be, is it possible to relocate the barn or move it to another site?
Through you, Mr. Chair, great questions. As you've heard, if there are no plans to expand the barn, I guess I'll be very clear. This is really just to recognize what's in there today. The barn is small; it can only accommodate what you've heard, what you were proposing. As you've heard already, if it changes, we'd have to be back before you. Again, it's been here for a number of years. We're just trying to utilize our client was just simply trying to utilize the structure that was there, the infrastructure that is there. Again, if we were to try to comply, it would be further into the woodlot that it currently is, and probably disrupting more of the woodlot that's there. And even putting it on the other side of the woodlot, that's sure it is an option. It just creates an inconvenience. And again, we're just simply trying to utilize the existing structure that is there, the infrastructure that is there in place today.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I have two questions. First of all, was a building permit obtained for the original construction?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's a great question. I really don't know. It's been there for a number of years, so I don't even know if the township has records of that. I'd have to defer to the township with respect to that.
Okay, and the second question is the manure pile. One of the residents sent in photographs showing the manure pile located just to not behind the barn, but actually to the side of the barn. Is it is your client firmly going to relocate the manure pile to the back?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm not familiar with these photographs. I haven't seen these photographs, so I can't comment on that. But again, if the desire is, again, the committee's desire to have it enclosed, I think that would negate any of those discussions or concerns.
Okay, first of all, I think the closure is to do with the chicken manure. I'm talking about the horse manure that was located in the front of the barn. Are you, your presentation, you said that this manure is located behind the barn. Is that a plan or is it currently being done?
I think that'll be the proposal. To be frank, I'm not aware of the manure being on the side of the barn, but if that needs to be located, needs to be relocated to move it further away, then we will ensure that that gets done, and that could be a condition as well, that the manure pile is located on the opposite side of the barn.
Okay, thank you. Okay, does a member have a motion to make to add a condition? Dennis, you have one motion?
Yeah, I'd like to add the condition of enclosure of the manure from the barn.
This is the chicken manure?
Manure period, because of the volume, it will be the same. So you've got to have enough volume to enclose the manure.
So this will be an enclosed manure protected from the elements?
Yes, it can be a container, it can be, but as long as the manure is enclosed, protected from the elements.
Okay, and,
can I I think as long as there's some clarification in terms of what the
Pierre, we're having discussion now. The item's closed for you to comment on. We're having our own discussion now. Dennis?
Okay, well, if you can give me permission, I would like to speak to that condition, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Please speak, Pierre.
Thank you. Again, no problem with that condition as long as there's some clarity in terms of what that means. That's all I would like to say in terms of, like, I think we are on the understanding that it could be some form of container, and that's fine. If that's what it is, then I think as long as the condition is clear.
Fair enough. So Dennis, on that basis, we say that the manure has to be enclosed in a container protected from the elements. Is that?
That would work.
That would work?
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion to add this condition. You have a seconder for the motion?
I will.
Dan, and let's go around the table in favor of adding the motion. Paul?
I'm going to decline.
Okay. Dan?
I'm in favor.
Okay, Dennis?
In favor?
Deep?
In favor for the motion.
This is for the condition. Adding the condition.
Yes, in favor.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so I'll read the entire document and with the condition. In the matter of Section 45 of the Planning Act as amended, new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended, an application for minor variance. The purpose and effect of the application is to provide relief from the minimum separation 2 MDS 2 setback requirement to permit a reduced minimum distance separation type 2 of approximately 65 meters instead of 93 meters type A, a difference of 22 meters. And the condition is that the manure pile be placed in a container sealed from the elements. So with that condition, We'll go around the table and again, so either approve, oppose, or defer. This is the motion I read, including the condition. So Paul?
Oppose.
Okay, so Dan?
Approve.
Dennis?
Approve.
Deep?
Approve.
And I approve as well. And this will be subject to a 20-day appeal period.
Thank you, Mr. Committee. And again, I apologize for the poor connection.
No problem. Everybody's having that these days. All right, thank you. All right, let's go to the next one. 6C, minor application D13/SLA, Mark and Karen Slade, 17 Calfras Road, Lot 30, Concession 7, Township of Puslinch, requesting relief of new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended from section 4.17.1B and section 12.4 to increase the size of an existing garage. Okay, Lynn, over to you. Would you please summarize the application, notification, submission requirements, outline staff and agency comments and recommendations?
Certainly. Notice of the application was given in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act. Notice requirements for the application have been met, and the following comment was received from the Township of Puslinch Fire Department. Township Fire and Rescue Services reviewed the minor variance submission. The department has no concerns with the submission, except to remind the applicant to consider adequate access to the structure on the property by the fire department vehicle should an emergency take place.
Thank you. Courtney, would you please have the owner applicant join the panelists, present the application?
Yes, I'll move Karen and Mark Slade over now.
Hi, Mark and Karen. I see you there, but you're muted.
How's that?
That's great. Okay, would you please state your name and address and present your proposal?
Okay, it's Mark and Karen Slade, 17 Calfas Road. So earlier in the year, we applied to the township for a building permit to add a 14 by 24 foot addition onto our garage. We submitted everything required that we thought. The township then came back and informed us that we had a couple non-compliance issues. The one is the fact that our two parcels of land were never officially merged. We're underway with that. The lawyer has drafted that and sent that off to the registry office, and we've sent that through to the second item of non-compliance is that this addition is now in the natural environment zone. And actually and if you have the other drawing there, the line literally goes through. No, it's another one that Courtney, actually I had sent to Courtney showing where the natural environment zone boundary was. So
Sorry, Mr. Chair, if you'd like, I can pull that drawing up as well.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, Mark and Karen, is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, so right there where the arrow is, that's the existing garage. And the addition would be to the west of that. And so you can see the boundary. And if you can just visualize an addition right there to the west. So it is just in the area of the natural environment zone.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments you wish to make?
No, just we had got the original garage. We applied and received a building permit in 1988. So since then, of course, the natural environment zone was established, and we're just asking to have the relief that we can add on that 14 feet onto the existing.
Thank you. Lynn, are there any registrants who have requested to speak?
No, Mr. Chair, I did not receive any emails from anyone or was contacted by anyone, but maybe Ms. Hoyt-Fox could check with the attendees.
Okay, Courtney, would you please check whether any attendees watching the hearing would like to provide comments or ask questions?
If there's any attendees that would like to make a comment, if you could just use the raise your hand feature. Mr. Chair, we do have 3 call-in listeners, so I may just unmute them and quickly ask them if they have any comments.
Sure.
I'm just going to go through the list. So the first number ends in 3990. If you have any questions or comments, if you could just respond.
(3990), you're muted.
Mr. Chair, with your permission, I'll go on to the next.
Absolutely.
Phone number ending in 7780.
7780, you're muted as well. If you wish to make comments, please say so.
And I'll just move to the last, which is phone number 5999.
Okay, 599, you're muted. If you wish to make comments, please unmute.
Okay. And there's no one else raising their hand, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right, this is our committee opportunity now. We'll start with Paul. Do you have any comments or questions?
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay, Dan?
No, I'm fine with this.
Okay, Dennis?
I'm fine as well.
Deep?
Just one question. Do we need a GRC approval on this, or we're good for this?
We're actually in Halton Conservation, and they've seen the drawings and also have seen the non-compliance. And I paid them $150, so I have to assume that they're good with it.
Okay.
Lynn, could you please comment on that? I know you circulated the document.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I did have comments from Conservation Halton saying that they have been working with the applicant to ensure that it complies with their relative policies. They can confirm that the development meets the natural hazards policies of the PPS, and they have no objection to the approval of the above noted minor variance application. If anything should change, they would like to be notified, but as what has been submitted, they're fine with.
Okay, thank you, Lynn.
You're welcome.
And I have no comments or of the applicant. There's a question of staff. Staff, do we need to put a condition in with respect to having the road allowance, the merge of the road allowance with their property, existing property?
Mr. Chair, I can comment on that if you'd like.
Sure.
His lawyer did consolidate the two parcels, the old road allowance with his parcel. It was registered in the registry office. So it'll take about 21 days. The registry office in normal times has 21 days to certify the registration. May take a little longer this time. It could take months depending on their staff, but they've been catching up, I believe. I don't know if you want to take that as a condition. It could delay the approval of the building permit if it goes to maybe 90 or 120 days until they can certify it.
I rely on staff. If staff do not have a concern, then I don't think the members will have a concern.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about it. The registry office, if they find any issues with it, will kick it back to his lawyer and they'll make the corrections and then I'll be certified.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so let's move into decision document. The matter of section 45 of the Planning Act as amended, a new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended, an application for minor variance requesting relief to increase the size of the existing garage. And where are they saying approved, opposed, or deferred? Paul?
Approved.
Okay, Dan?
Approve.
Dennis?
Approve.
Keep?
Approved.
And I approve as well. And it's subject to a 20-day appeal period. Thank you, Karen and Mark.
Thank you.
Okay, we move into the next one, minor variance application D13-SAV, James Savoy, 596 Arkle Road, Part Lot 3, Plan 131, Part 1, and Reference Plan 61R-9995, Township of Puslins, requesting relief of new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended from section 4.171B to increase the size of an existing residential dwelling. Lynn, would you please summarize the application, notification, submission requirements, and outlining staff, agency, and public comments of those who cannot attend, and recommendations?
Certainly. Notice of the application was given in accordance with the Planning Act. Notice requirements for the application have been met. The following comments were received from township departments. The building department has no objection to the increased height to the house, but the applicant should be aware of the following construction restraints. The west elevation setback of 0.05 meters to the property line. Due to the small setback distance, existing walls are acceptable, but the designer should ensure all new and replaced walls constructed to meet 9.10.15 of the Ontario Building Code, or the equivalent in Part 11 of the OBC. Existing window openings in the west elevation are permitted and can be relocated, but cannot be increased in size due to the proximity of the property line. Their second comment was the existing septic system may need to be reviewed if a new bedroom is being added to the second story space. And all of those items that he did note can be addressed during the building permit stage. The fire department's comments were that they have reviewed the minor variance and the department has no concerns with the application, but please remind the applicant to consider good fire department vehicle access to buildings on the property should an emergency occur so they can provide the quickest response possible.
Okay, thank you. Courtney, would you please have the owner or applicant join the panelists, present your application?
Certainly, I'll move James Savoy over now.
Hello.
Hi, James, we hear you. Would you please state your name and address for the record?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is James Savoy and I reside at 596 Arkle Road.
Okay, would you please present your application?
Absolutely. So the purpose to my request for minor variance is due to the legal non-conforming status of my residence. This designation, as I understand it, is due to the dwelling's proximity to the property line, as Lynn mentioned. The home was built in the 1860s, I believe, which is why it's so close to the property line. The work in question that triggered the minor variance is my desire to raise the second floor ceiling height, simply to allow for more comfortable headroom and usable floor space. The current ceiling height is only 6'3" with 4-foot knee walls, which, as you can imagine, makes for a lot of head bumping. Furthermore, this renovation includes the addition of energy efficient upgrades to the building envelope in order to make for a healthier, more thermally comfortable indoor environment. Lastly, this house was in a pretty major state of disrepair when I purchased it in 2018. And this permit and minor variance would allow me to give the exterior of the home a much needed facelift and improve the curb appeal of the Arkell Village intersection. Thank you for your consideration, and I'm happy to describe the proposed renovation in more detail.
Courtney, would you please put some renovation plans there? Okay, I think one of the next ones will be more beneficial. It shows the elevation and yep, that's the one. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. That's a good one. Okay, so let's go. If there's any members of the public would like to speak, Lynn, are there any registrants who requested to speak?
We did have one who has requested to speak, and I believe he's in attendance.
Okay, Courtney, would you, and who is this individual?
This is Mr. Sloot, John Sloot.
Okay, Courtney, would you please invite John Sloot to come forward?
Certainly, I have someone registered as Dan Sloot. If you could just use the raise your hand function if you're the correct individual, and I can enable the talk feature. Mr. Sloot, I'm going to unmute and allow you to talk here, and if you could just maybe let us know if you're the correct person that's asked to speak.
Dan, I can't hear you. You're muted. Okay, you're unmuted now, but I still can't hear you. Hello, Dan? Can't hear you, Dan.
Mr. Chair, did you want me to check with the call-in listeners to see if they'd like to speak while we wait?
Oh, that'll be fine. Thank you. Go ahead.
Right, the first one I'll unmute here just in order is again number 3990. If you have any questions or comments. Okay, the next number is 7780. I'll unmute you if you have any questions or comments. All right, and finally, number ending in 5999.
Okay.
Sorry, 5999. I'll try that again. I wasn't sure if I cut you off there. Okay, so Mr. Chair, we can try Mr. Dan Sloot one more time.
Thank you. Well, Dan, you're unmuted, but I can't hear you. Well, Dan,
Mr. Chair, is it possible he may need to turn his volume up on his computer?
would be possible. Dan, maybe try the volume on your computer. That might be the problem. We can't hear you.
Mr. Chair, I don't see the microphone moving, so it may be just an issue with connection. So if perhaps, Dan, if you'd like to use the call-in number, Mr. Chair, if that's all right with you, and he could try
Absolutely,
phoning
yes.
in.
Yes, absolutely. Courtney, is there a way for you to screen share the call-in number? Perhaps he's not aware how to connect the number.
Yes, just give me one moment. That's a great idea. I'll just pull up one of the notices here.
Good, thank you.
So Dan, if you can see the screen here, you can dial any one of these numbers here. You can use the webinar ID here and then the passcode, and that will get you connected in through phone. And if you're going to go ahead and do that, I'll just take a look for you in the participant section just as a phone number, a new caller.
I'll try it this way.
Well, somebody spoke. I heard somebody.
Yes, good evening.
Yes.
Technology. I can't figure that out. Yes, good evening. I have no comment on the.
This is Dan Sloot.
Correct, yes.
Well, there's no comment?
No comment, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Courtney, anybody else wishing to speak?
I don't see any hands being raised, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. So let's go around the table. Paul, do you have any questions of the applicant or planning staff?
No, I'm okay. Thanks.
Okay, Dan Kennedy.
No, I'm fine with this as well.
Okay, Dennis.
I'm fine as well.
Deep.
I'm good with this.
Okay, and I have no questions or comments as well. So we'll go through the notice of decision document. In a matter of section 45 of the Planning Act as amended, a new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended, and an application for a minor variance requesting relief to increase the size of an existing residential dwelling. And go around the table, so we're either approving it, opposing it, or deferring it. So Paul?
Approved.
Okay, thank you. Dan?
Approve.
Dennis?
Approve.
Deep?
Approved.
And I approve it as well, and it's subject to a 20-day appeal period. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on to the next item on the agenda. It's other matters. There is none. And need a mover and a seconder to adjourn the Committee of Adjustment meeting at 8:06 p.m. So moved by Deep, second by Dennis. Go around the table. Paul?
Approved.
Dan?
Approve.
Dennis?
Approve.
Deep?
Approved.
I approve as well. So now we move into the Planning and Development Advisory Committee. And we have to go through the process again of asking people to indicate their presence. Paul?
Present.
Dan?
Present.
Dennis?
Present.
Deep?
Present.
John Spools, I'm present as well. So as I mentioned at the start, for those who could not attend the start of the entire meeting at 7, we have 4 minor variances before us today. And we are basically an advisory role in this case. We do not make any decisions, and we only provide comments to the Land Division Committee of the county, and the actual service application will be heard by the Land Division comments. So I'd like to reiterate that the meeting is video audio recorded, and all electronic meetings are uploaded to municipality's YouTube page. By registering to participate in meeting by electronic means, we're consenting to have the likeness and comments recorded and posted on YouTube. Okay, so Glenn, do we have any disclosure of pecuniary interest?
No, Mr. Chair, we do not.
Okay, a mover and a seconder for approval of minutes of May the 11th, 2021.
I'll move it.
Okay, Dan, and second Kennedy, and second Paul Sedra. Okay, go around the table. Paul?
Approved.
Dan?
Approve.
Dennis?
Approve.
Deep?
Approved.
And I approve as well. So we have no applications for a site plan approval, for our site plan urban design review. We have no zoning bylaw amendments. And we go straight into land division. So 8A, service application B24-21, also known as D10-BOR, Jeffrey Bourne and Vicky Dixon, part lot 15, concession 10, municipally known as 4614, concession 11, township of Pussonch. Proposed severance is 4039.3 square meters with 46.37 meters frontage, part 1 on sketch. Existing paddock area for proposed residential use. Retained parcel is 22.07 hectares with 109 meter frontage. Existing proposed residential land, agriculture use with existing dwelling and storage building with 5 animal stalls. Okay, so Courtney, would you please have the applicant or agent come forward and do the presentation?
I'll move over Miss Nancy Shoemaker.
Hi, Nancy. Would you please state your name and address for the record?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Nancy Shoemaker. My address is 257 Woodlawn Road West in Guelph.
Okay, please proceed.
Committee members will recall that we dealt with minor variances on this property in April. One was related to an MDS calculation in the barn with the setback there, and we had a minor variance for the frontage of the retained parcel. So what we're looking at here is a severance on the southeast corner of the property. It meets the policies of the official plan. It's approximately 0.4 hectares in size with frontage on a public road allowance. Is compatible with a number of rural residential houses along both Maltby Road and the Concession Road. It is away from the boundary of the city of Guelph. The property owners have owned this site for more than 5 years, and there have not been any consent since 2005 on the parcel of land. It is designated secondary agricultural. And when locating this parcel, we did deal with the Grand River Conservation Authority looking at parcels for a parcel further west on the Maltby Road frontage, but it was within the hazard land. And you can see on the key map in the top corner how extensive that hazard land designation is. So that is why we ended up with the parcel in this current location. I'd be pleased to answer any questions.
Okay, on the table, Paul?
No questions, thank you.
Dan?
No, I'm fine.
Dennis?
I'm fine as well.
Deep?
No questions, thank you.
I'm fine as well. Lynn, do we have any conditions or comments, I should say, rather, that we would like to pass on to the county? If you could read them, please.
So our comments would be that the owner satisfy the requirements of the township, financial and otherwise, including taxes paid in full and consent review clearance condition fee. Also that any fees incurred by the township for review of this application would be the responsibility of the applicant, and also for an approved entrance permit, verifying safe access and sight lines on the severed parcel, and that we will clear those conditions once they have done that.
Okay, so I'm going to suggest that we have no comments and the conditions as noted by Lynn. So I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Dennis, second by Dan. Okay, go around the table. Paul? Dan?
Approve.
Dennis?
Approve.
Deep?
Approved.
I approve as well. Okay, and move into the next one, service application B31-21, also known as D10-WEL, 6580 Wellington Road, Inc., Part Lot 4, Concession 3, 6580 Wellington Road 34, Township of Puslinch. Proposed segments is 50-meter frontage by 122 meters or 0.61 hectares. Existing agricultural use for proposed rural residential use. Retained parcels 21 hectares with 100-meter frontage. Existing proposed agricultural use with existing swelling, garage, and pool. Okay, Courtney, would you have the applicant or agent join the panels to present your application?
I'll unmute Haley Keast.
Well, Haley, I see you're there. Could you please state your name and address for the record?
Hi, good evening. Haley Keast from Van Harten Surveying. We're at 423 Woolwich Street in Guelph. So this is a pretty simple rural residential application. The parcel is along Wellington Road 34. There'll be a frontage of 50 meters, depth of 122, and an area of 0.6 hectares. The retained parcel has an area of approximately 21 hectares where the dwelling and accessory buildings will remain. And one thing we note is there is a reduction in the frontage of the retained parcel, so we will require a variance for that. But I think otherwise, all the zoning requirements are met for the severed parcel. And if you have any questions about this application, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, I'll ask Lynn first. Were there any agency comments received?
No, the only comment I received was from the Township Fire Department. They said they had no concerns.
Okay, and were there any written comments received?
No, there were not.
Okay, so let's go around the table, ask questions. Paul?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, Dan?
No, I'm fine as well.
Dennis?
I'm fine.
Deep?
Haley, I'm guessing safe entrance is available?
Sorry, I missed that. Could you repeat it?
Safe
He's
access.
asking if there's a safe entrance available.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Jeff evaluated the entrance and there is safe access.
Thank you.
Okay, and I have no questions as well. And Lynn, do we have any comments to make?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we would use our standard comments regarding the clearance of the payment of all financial obligations and that the owner would be responsible for any fees incurred by the township for the review of the application. Also, an improved entrance permit, verifying the safe access and sightlines, and that the owner apply for and receive zoning compliance for the retained parcel.
Okay, all right, so need a mover and a seconder that we have no concerns with the application and includes the comments made by, conditions made by Lynn on behalf of the township. So a mover.
I'll move it.
Second, Dennis, go around the table. All in favor, Paul?
Approved.
Dan?
Approve.
Dennis?
Approved.
Deep?
Approved.
I approve as well.
Thank you.
All right. Severance application B37-21, also known as D10 HAM, William and Lisa Hamilton, Part Lot 13, Concession 9, known municipally as 4674 Watson Road South, Township of Puslinch. Proposed severance is 0.9 hectares with 100-meter frontage. Severed one on sketch, vacant for land for proposed rural residential use. Retained parcel is 11.7 hectares, 168-meter frontage. Existing proposed agriculture use retained on sketch 1. Courtney, would you please have the agent or applicant come forward and make their presentation?
Yep. So it's me. Oh, sorry. I thought I interrupted Courtney. Yeah, Haley Keese for Van Harten Surveying. So this application goes kind of hand in hand with the following application as well, but I'll just discuss the severance first. It's another rural residential severance along Watson Road South. So I think pretty straightforward. It meets all the zoning requirements. We will require a minor variance to the barn across the road for the MDS. We don't meet it with the type B calculations. And I just wanted to say that it was the rear property line is on an angle, but it's just to line up with the adjacent property lines. So that's why there's the angle at the rear. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, so Lynn, do we have any staff comments?
No, Mr. Chair, the only one we have is from the fire department. They did not have any concerns with the application.
Okay, and any written comments?
No, Mr. Chair, I did not receive any.
Okay, thank you. And let's go around the table. Paul?
No comment. Thank you.
Dan?
No comment.
Dennis?
No comments.
Deep?
No, I'm good.
I have a comment with respect to the MDS. What is it that we're be seeking the variance for eventually?
So we show a distance of approximately 170 meters, and using the type B, 220 meters is required.
Okay. Okay, anybody wish to make comments with respect to this item? No. Okay, so Lynn, do you have comments that township wishes to make?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have the standard 2 regarding the payment of township fees, paying taxes paid up to date. The owner will be responsible for any fees incurred by the township for the review of the application. We also have the approved entrance permit requirement, as well that the owner apply for and receive approval of a minor variance for the retained parcel for the reduced MDS.
Okay, so mover and seconder that we have no concern with the application for the severance and include the comments made just now by, conditions made just now by Lynn. Have a mover and a seconder.
I'll move it.
Moved by Dan, second by Deep. Okay, go around the table. Paul? Approved. Okay, Dan?
Approve.
Dennis,
Approve.
Deep,
Approved.
I approve as well. Okay, let's get into the next one. Service application B38-21, also known as D10-HAM, William and Lisa Hamilton, part lot 13, concession 9, municipally known as 4674 Watson Road South, Township of Puslinch. Proposed lot line adjustment is 11.7 hectares with 168-meter frontage. Severed 2 on sketch. Vacant land to be added to abutting agriculture parcel. William Lisa Nancy Hamilton and estate of William Hamilton. Retained parcel 78 meters frontage by 111 meters or 0.9 hectares. Existing proposed rural residential use with existing dwelling, garage, and shed. Retained 2 on sketch. Okay, Courtney, would you please have the owner applicant come forward and make the presentation?
So again, Haley Keese from Van Harten Surveying. And like I said before, this is the same property as the previous application. So we would be severing for a lot line adjustment, vacant parcel with 11.7 hectares and adding it to the rear parcel, which has 25.8 hectares. And the lands to be added to is actually landlocked or isolated. And right now they have a right of way to get to that parcel. So this lot line adjustment will actually be giving frontage along Watson Road South to that parcel. But other than that, I don't think there's anything else to note other than it is a rural residential, or sorry, a lot line adjustment, and the dwelling will be retained on 0.9 hectares.
Okay, so Lynn, do we have any comments from the staff?
No, only from the fire department, and they had no concerns with this application also.
Okay, and do we have any written comments received?
No, I did not receive any.
Okay, so let's go around the table. Paul?
Approve.
Okay.
No
Dan,
comments, sorry.
no comments. Dan?
Fine with this.
Dennis?
I'm okay.
Deep?
I'm good with this.
And I'm fine as well. So Lynn, do we have any staff comments to be forwarded to the county?
Our comments would be the requirement for satisfying the township's financial obligations, including taxes paid in full, and also that the any fees incurred by the township for the review of the application will be the responsibility of the applicant. I don't believe an entrance is necessary. It looks like there might be one on the sketch already. So I don't think that'll be a requirement if Haley can confirm that.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So there is one on that severed parcel already leading to the isolated parcel. So I don't think there would be another one required.
No. And so it would just be the one requirement, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. So I have a mover and a seconder to indicate to the county that we have no concerns, and including the comments made by Lynn. Mover? Dennis, seconder, Dan, all in favor? Paul?
Approve.
Dan?
Approve.
Dennis?
Approve.
Deep?
Approved.
I approve as well. Okay.
you.
Okay, you're welcome. We'll move on to the next item. Other matters, we have none. Closed meeting, we have none. Next meeting is Tuesday, July 13th at 7 p.m. And they need a mover and a seconder to adjourn the meeting at 8:24 p.m. Moved by Deep, second by Paul. Let's go around the table. Paul?
Approve.
Dan?
Approve.
Dennis?
Approve.
Deep?
Approved.
I approve as well. Thank you very much, and see you in a month's time.
Have a
Good
good
night.
evening.
Night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.